Okay.
Okay, so I think we should get started. So first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming, for being here today. We have to tell you, this is a pilot project that some people from Rotary, some of the guys that you recognize on the screen right now, decided to organize as a pilot project to develop one of the most important pillars for Rotary. You know that we have been talking a lot about conflict, we have been talking a lot about peace, but we really would like to hear from you and how we from Rotary could support, possibly understand, and provide you the right tools or one of the tools to handle conflict and to really talk about peace. I'm so glad that we were able to unite, to put everybody together in this room, although it's a virtual room, but I think we are distant but close somehow because we have one reason for being here. Everybody's here because you're interested, because you're curious. We are curious, so I think that this is a two-way learning process. This is what I really would like to tell you that, right? So anything goes. Feel free really to enjoy the ride. That's really the objective. We are not here to understand and to support what you do, but really to share. And I really would like to thank Monica. She is my partner here in Brazil. I really would like to thank Pascal. He is in France right now. Hi, Pascal, for really coming on board. Helmut, it's a pleasure really to have met you. I met Pascal presentially, but hopefully we're going to meet one-to-one somehow when the pandemic is over. Sandra, we met, right? And hopefully we're going to be able to meet again. Thank you very much. Luis, who is her partner and really is going to take the lead of this workshop later on. Lynn, you are so special. You're so dear because you're here and you're always supporting us. And my friend, Greg, who is really supporting, and I told you I was going to invite you to everything I was going to develop. Thank you very much for being here. Regina, who is the specialist and who is going to be talking about peace and conflict resolution today. But my special thanks goes to you, right? And of course, I forgot to mention my club. I think you can see like some people here from my club, from E-Club, right? We have an E-Club in Brazil and they are here, and they are here because they supported and they helped us to select our candidates. But my special thank again is to all of you, because you're here, because you took the time, the energy, and I think that you can be considered as leaders. And hopefully you're going to be our leaders in the future, right? So thank you very much. Again, this is a pilot project, so you were selected because you wanted to participate. And if it works out, we're going to move ahead and we're going to let you know how it's going to happen. But the objective of this workshop is really to develop leaders of tomorrow. The agenda today will cover, some points on peace and conflict resolution based on deep democracy, and Regina is going to talk about it. And we are going to have an exercise. We're going to be split in groups, so you're going to have the chance to get to know people from other countries and talk about it. Then we are at the very end of this exercise, because we're going to have an exercise, put everybody together, and Regina is going to talk about it. And then we're going to have to talk about the next steps and the closure. There will be a certificate that's going to be sent to you later on, virtually, of course, and a survey, because we really would like to hear from you how you felt about the experience. So with that, I would like to pass the word to Regina, because she is the one who is going to really run the show today, right? So Regina, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, thank you, Claudia. It's a pleasure to be with you today. as Claudia said, this is going to be an experience, and I hope you all enjoy this way of doing this debate, doing this conversation about peace and conflict resolution, using this tool that is called Deep Democracy. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes later. But before that, we will start doing a check-in, which you are going all to go to small groups with leaders with you, and you are going to answer for 3 questions that we want us to know you a bit better, and then you go to the small group to be more like comfortable to talk and be yourself, because we want to know you. So the first question is that you will briefly introduce yourself, your name, your age, your country, your city, and then you are going to say, why did you come to this gathering? What do you have in your mind about it? And the third question is, what's your view for the future of peace for your generation? So you don't have to take notes of this, because when you go to the room, I will send you these questions again. So don't worry about it, okay? And then after that, we are going to do this for 20 minutes. And then after that, we will come back and I'm going to explain to you what is Lewis Deep Democracy, what is this method of conflict resolution. I have this small presentation, really short, to present you for like 10 minutes. I would try not to make longer than that, because I know it's Saturday and all of you want to go like be here, but then leave and do other things. And then after this 10 minutes, we are going to leave this experience of the method, because it's more important than I'm here like selling this method or saying about it, is that we do this. We go to the experience of using it, these steps of Lewis Deep Democracy, okay? And then we are going to do that, a conversation about peace and about conflict resolution, about your ideas of the team, and for around an hour, and then we will make a closure. So we will be like 1.5 hours together using this method. I hope you all enjoy and that it is worth for everybody. And of course, I have to, before that, I'm going to present myself. So I'm Regina, I'm in Brazil, I'm Brazilian. In Brazil, we speak Portuguese, we don't speak English. So I'm sorry if I say something wrong, you have to apologize myself because of that. I'm in São Paulo right now. Today is like a bit cold day, and that's it. I'm a facilitator and work with Deep Democracy for 6 years now. I'm instructor of this method here in Brazil, but Deep Democracy is all over the world in more than 20 countries, and that's it. So I'm going to put you all now in these small groups with a leader from Rotary, okay? And now it's 3:12 in Brazil. And we will come back about 3:30, 3:32, okay? So you have to use your time zone to see. It's 20 minutes past from here. So have a great check-in. I see you all in 20 minutes. Everybody, it's nice to have you all back here. If you couldn't end the conversation, the check-in is not a problem, because this question is going to remain for us. We are going to do a conversation now. We are going to gain all the views with the same team, so don't worry about it. So now what we will do before I start presenting the Lewis Deep Democracy for you is that I will invite all the note takers from the group, the responsible for your group, to present in 1 minute a summarize what was the conversation about the future of peace for your generation, okay? So I'm going to start, because in the end I was responsible for a group because of Zoom things with the rooms, breakout rooms, okay? So the main theme that appeared in our conversation with the students in the room 3 were that the future of peace for our generation, for their generation, was around being preoccupied about social inequality and seeing Rotary as a place of networking, a huge networking that can help others. At the same time, we thought in the room that the young need to be the change, because the adults that are in power now, they don't want to do that change. The countries, and they are with problems of relationship within each other. And they think that their generation will have to learn how to make peace and how to do this movement, because they cannot wait for the adults now to do that, because this is not going to happen. So the previous generations didn't take care of the world, and as young, they think that they are more than a president, and that they can make the difference if they want. So this was the summary about the conversation of the third point about peace for their generation. Who wants to come next? Who wants to come as the responsible for the group? We have Claudia, we have Greg, we have Pascal.
I can do it.
Okay, Helmut, please.
Okay, short summary. In the end, some bullet points. The first big one is climate change, and in this respect, my generation is leaving, let me say, a huge task for the young generation, and that is concerning them a little bit in respect of peace. They see battling going on in the future for resources, and the solution for that is personal context globally, and that they feel themselves good and well positioned and prepared to cope with this challenge, and that's it probably already. I think the rest is not that important. There is political corruption in countries going on, and that is, of course, influencing peace, poverty, limited resources, and so on. But I think the big header was everything around climate change, which will have a big impact on peace in the future for the young generation.
Thank you, Helmut. Who else wants to share the summary? Claudia, we can go, and then Lynn, please.
Okay, so in my group, it was very interesting because the first thing they said was that they really didn't have to face any serious conflict. So they've studied, they've heard about it, but not something that really stroked them. So for their generation, they would have to find out how to deal and how to handle a real conflict, right? So they had never had any experience or close contact with the conflict or with war or anything like that. They also said that more important than having a global economy, it would be very important to have a global culture, so that we would have understanding from all parts of the world, understanding that cultures are different because they are different, but we have to understand what's behind that difference, okay, and act on that. And they also said that organizations such as Rotary, this type of meeting could help them a lot to understand other cultures, what they would have to say, trying to understand the differences, and listen more, right? Really, they expect the way out to handle conflict would be to listen first, basically that.
Perfect, thank you, Lynn.
So my group thought that you have to have peace within yourself first before you can go and try and change the world and create peace in the world. There was a lot of very interesting conversation. For example, when Diane said, I'm pessimistic, but I have to be optimistic. Because the view of climate change also came up in our conversation, and also the effect of social media. And they wanted to become leaders so that they could create change. So some of those steps were to participate in demonstrations so that other generations could see and talk about the issues so that they realized that they had to do this together. And another interesting topic that came up was that countries are starting to isolate and there's less interaction between the leaders. And these young people see that as a huge risk and that they have to learn and meet with others internationally to share ideas, to be curious, to be willing to change, and to have a sense of empathy. And also another word that came up was to be tolerant and not judge, but to learn from others. So that's it.
Perfect, Lynn. Thank you. Who else wants to share?
I can if you want.
Please.
Yeah, okay. So in our group, I say we have two tendencies. The first one is pessimistic or not positive, because we are in a world where we have many problems of resources. So this could bring countries to fight in each one for the resources. The other point is we are not in a peaceful mind because we live in a challenging time because of violence in the streets, demonstrations, and we could even see that in every country there were demonstrations in the streets. On the other side, we are the new generation, I can say we, the new generation is more open-minded. They have an international view, they see on a planet scale, and they are able to talk much more than before. They can have conversation like today between countries and continents, and so understand the way to bring peace everywhere. So the point was also positive in this way. Many thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Who else wants to share about the view of their group?
I think I'm
Does
the only one
anyone?
left.
Okay.
Luis.
Okay, Luis.
I only have the opportunity to speak to Mats Krug from Germany. So there was no controversy, but it was a very interesting conversation among us. And in a way, just to make it very short and simple, he has the same tendency as many of his young generation people demonstrate green peace or the peace connected or linked towards the future of the world, towards the future of our Earth or of our planet Earth. And something very important that he mentioned was the involving into a political party. And he mentioned the Green Party in his country, in Germany, and all these aspects that the political party does, and how people, specifically from higher education, can do something within his communities and also outside of his communities. But for him, it's very important, and it is very important to keep going, studying, and also sharing this knowledge to people from other places, or why not other countries. So mainly that is the main point towards peace, understanding, according to Mats Krug.
Okay. Thank you, Luis. And the last one is Rodrigo, I think. Rodrigo did not present to his group. Okay, Rodrigo, please.
Yes, I'm the last one, but not the least. So our group talked about a lot about social media, and they said that information goes around the world very easily nowadays. And there are a lot of examples like Black Lives Matter and goes around the world very easily. And all the world has one goal, which is bringing peace. Just like this workshop, we are getting everybody together with the goal of bringing peace. And also the new generation is capable of understanding the others with more empathy. And the new generation is a little bit more open-minded than some older people. That's pretty much what we got.
Perfect, perfect. So now I'm going to do a mirroring, summarizing this summary, okay? And then we are going to go to the...
I got to do our group.
Greg, sorry, please.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Now, first of all, from our group's perspective, I didn't really gather any negative perspectives on the future. I did have someone express a positive view, but I think the overwhelming summary I can take from it is everybody sort of looked at it as a problem resolution process that they're going to have to go through. The internet's a wonderful tool, was noted, and I think that I get a sense that everybody has more of a sense of obligation and problem resolution. We didn't really get into specifics like climate change or anything like that, but I think it was more the process of how to achieve peace going forward as opposed to specific areas.
Okay.
One sentence, please.
Before...
One sentence, just I forgot about. Out of experience, it was quoted from all participants, it's absolutely okay to be different.
Perfect. Thank you, Helmut. I just want to ask all the youngs that are here, did you miss anything that was said? Do you think we just did a good summary of the debate? Okay, great. So I'm going to summarize once more. Now I'm mirroring you back what was said, okay? So in few topics, one thing that comes up for you is about the Rotary. You think Rotary is important, is an institution where you can make difference, is an institution that you can connect within each other, with other countries, understand and listen more to others. And this brings empathy, this brings more tolerance, this brings more interest in other countries, in other cultures. And you see yourself with this mission that was not done before, is still not done before, with the mission of making things different for climate change, for society, for peace, for being more connected. And a part of you all feel prepared to do that. You feel that because of social media, because of internet, because of the way you interact today, you are more open-minded and you can do this change. You can influenciate, you have study, you have like opportunity to make the difference in your community and in society. A part of you thinks that you have to do this alone because the other generations didn't do. And another part of you just said that you should do together with the older generations, okay? So there's a part of the group that feels optimistic about the future and thinking that we have a challenge, but we can make the difference. But there is also a part of you that feels a little bit pessimistic about the future. Né? We have great challenges. We can see the violence in the streets. You can see the violence in society. And we feel that our leaders are being less and less open to build with other cultures. So a part of us feels pessimistic about this, about the countries, about the way they are dealing with the politics. And another thing that appeared was a lot about climate change, that this is the moment, this will have a big impact in your life. More than poverty, more than corruption and other agendas, the climate change will bring conflict, will bring poverty. So you are connected with this agenda and think this agenda is the most important one. Let me check if I have other main things to say here. It also appeared in this part of you that wants to make difference, maybe being in a political party is also an option for the future for you. So I think that's it. So you understand that you are part of a generation that wants to build a global culture, a culture that wants to be tolerant and wants to connect within each other because it's so much easier to do these conversations and to make a global goal, for example, for peace, okay? Does anyone feel that this brings you back what you just said in a really, really short way, Myron? Does anyone feel that I missed some really hot topic to bring? Okay, so now we are going to go for the presentation of what is Lewis Deep Democracy. This that just happened. Of course, we had a bit confusion about the Zoom, but this that just happened was the check-in, and I used Deep Democracy with you, mirroring you back what you just said for us to bring awareness about this conversation to all of us, okay? So I'm going to share now my screen and I'm going to present Deep Democracy for you. Just a moment. I'm going to be really brief about it, but you have like a taste of what is this method. If you have any questions, please, you can interrupt me. You just say, Regina, because I'm not seeing you all now because I'm with the screen, with the PowerPoint here. So you just interrupt me, feel free to interrupt me whenever you want, okay? So Lewis Deep Democracy is a very powerful and yet it's easy to learn. And it's adaptable for a wide range of life situations. What is our aim with Lewis Deep Democracy? Is to create a safe space for people say what needs to be said. This is like I'm putting here how do you say this in small, in big letters? Say what needs to be said and work with the wisdom in the know. Because we are not interested about agreeing within each other. We want to know what you think that is different. Because when we talk about peace and conflict resolution, we are talking about differences. We are not talking about when we agree. Because when we agree, we don't have conflict. We don't have tension. So Deep Democracy is made for us to feel safe, so that we can say what needs to be said. And as this came up in the check-in, and I didn't say, it was something that Lynn brought about, we need to do peace within ourselves first, before we do peace with the society. And the idea here is the same. It's not first or second, but you can use this method within yourself, with your family, with your friends, in your community, and with society, because we are all making decisions, and it is important to have a tool to make the decisions so we can tolerate each other. And this is not only for the countries, for the politicals, for the president, but also for ourselves, our communities, our families, okay? So I'm not going to bring all the theory for you, just want you to know that we are all a bit conscious of what's going on in our lives, and we have a part of us that is unconscious. For example, when I did a check-in asking you about this question of peace, you all brought your views and we did a summary, and so we brought the view of peace for our conscious. So everything said something, and then we summarize it, and then I mirror it you back. This is in our conscious part of our mind now. So we have aware of what we think about peace, okay? But it's a part of us that is unconscious. So in this part of us that is unconscious, is there that remains a wisdom and a potential that we want to access. And Deep Democracy works with that. So imagine that this is an iceberg. We say that is a Freud iceberg, which is a psychoanalyst from the beginning of the 20th century. So unconscious, conscious and unconscious, a part of ourselves. So what does it happen when we have situations of decision making or in our ordinary life? For example, if we have a leader, or you can say your professor, you can say your parents, we all have, or even us, we all have situations where someone or even us is being autocratic. So that's why this leader here has this this coroa, this crown in his head, okay? So when we don't feel safe to say what needs to be said, we use some unconscious attitudes, habits, ways of being with others that we call in deep democracy the resistance line, which you are saying here as a pink line here. Because we cannot say what needs to be said, we are going to react somehow to the authority, to the autocracy, okay? Or people are going to react to us being authoritarian with others. So I'm just going to present you really briefly what this resistance line is. For example, the resistance line are unconscious attitudes of ourselves and others. In the beginning, they are covert. You cannot see the people doing it in a very explicit way, in a very open way. But with time, if we don't solve this conflict, this tension, this way we are relating to people, they start to feel, to be overt, to be open. So someone brought the theme of war. I never saw a war. I need to learn how to work with peace because this is not part of my life. I'm not in a civil war contest, okay? Okay, but this civil war is the end of the resistance line, is when everything was tried and no one did anything about it. And then the situation got so bad that we have war. But much before that, we can see how people is reacting with us, with our ideas, with our necessities, with the things we bring, with the decisions that need to be made. For example, if you have a friend or a parent or a professor that you think is authoritarian and you start to make jokes about this person, or you make sarcastic jokes about this person, or you make some excuses. I don't like this professor, so I'm not going to the school today. So today I feel sick, tomorrow I have another thing to do. And or I don't know, I just got lost in the time and I couldn't attend this classroom. So it's always small and really, really small situations where we are resisting and we don't like something, but we don't feel safe to say what's happening. So this is happening to our lives. Another thing that is really, you can see is gossip. When we start gossiping about others, saying mean things about people that we don't like, or saying about people that is with us, or others doing gossip about us, this is a way of us seeing that we are having this resistance experience in our lives. Another way of seeing it is about the poor communication. I don't know, but I think most of you have a friend or had a friend that you got angry and you didn't say anything for this person, but you just stopped communicating with this person. You just don't answer more the WhatsApp, don't answer their phone call. This is another way of showing that you are not liking what's happening in your relationship, okay? Another one that I think you are going, maybe not now, but when you're younger, you are going to identify yourself, is like when your father or mother or parents say to you, you have to clean your room, the house is a mess, or you just go to study right now, and you are angry for something, or you are not satisfied, or you think things should be different, you just go slow. You do what your parents said you to do, but you do really slow. And then they get really angry at you because you're doing it, but you are taking too long to do it. So it's another way of us seeing this resistance line happening. And what is the problem when we are working in this way, in this unconscious way, and having this attitude and these habits into our lives? We are being each time more and more inefficient and ineffective in our lives. And if we don't get the situation as far as we can, they can go to the extreme. to go overt, to go open. It's like when we leave home because we are tired, when we want to change school, when we break up a relationship forever with a friend or with someone that we like, because we are not facing the situation. We are not facing the conflict, okay? So this is a great way for you to see in your life if you are doing somehow some of this, and to ask yourself about this autocratic voice that is bothering you, that you are not saying what needs to be said, you are not listening to others or yourself, okay? So the role theory that is in action for deep democracy is something like that. I will bring you the example of Fred. Fred is someone that is different from the group. Fred is someone that everybody, like, we want to play soccer now, and Fred wants to go to basketball. We want to go to have lunch in 10 minutes, and Fred says, but I'm not hungry. Can we go in 1 hour? Fred is like that friend that all the time is being different from everybody. And we get sick from Fred. We don't want to be with Fred because Fred is making our harmony to go away because he's always interfering, bringing other ideas. So what do we do when we have this Fred with us? We just say, okay, Fred, we don't like you. We want you to leave the group. But I didn't say to you, but I'm going to say to you right now, we are living in an energy field. We are changing the paradigm right now. And you have to understand that this thing about conscious and unconscious, this part of ourselves that is unconscious, it's not only part of me or you or Pascal or Rodrigo or Helmut or everybody that is here. We are all connected in an energy field that is called quantic field. That's why Fred, it's a little bit of all of us too. The part of Fred that is being different, it is in me and it is in all of you. But in the name of belonging, in the name of not disagreeing with the group because we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, in the name of that, we just take our Fred part of ourselves, that is the part of ourselves that is in conflict or that wants things to be different, and we just quiet our voice and our necessity in the name of the group, in the name of the peace, a supposed peace. But peace is not there because we have the conflict. So what Fred brings, when he brings this no, it's we love the no in deep democracy because Fred is holding a space for all of us, bringing the no. So what happens when Fred leaves the room? So we have this Fred friend, he's always disagreeing. And then one day he's not with us. He felt sick and he was not in the group. We are going to say, okay, so now we want all to play soccer. And another person is going to bring, but could we play basketball or could we play handball, another one? Because it's not Fred, it's not that person, it's not an individual. A part of us that is disagreeing, it will be always in us. So the idea of deep democracy with the whole theory is when we can all bring our Freds to ourselves and don't project this Fred in someone else. We can see the difference and we can work. For example, here in this slide, the idea of the L is leader and follower. Imagine that your professor is a leader and you are a follower, because he's going to give you the lesson. Of course, he's going to give you the lesson. So he's the teacher, he's the leader. But at the same time, we are all leaders in some point in our lives. And we can teach our teachers something. So the idea of the deep democracy is when we have this role fluidity, that everybody can be a bit professor and student at the same time. It's important for us to bring all the awareness for the conscious so that we can be all followers and leaders. Because otherwise we are going to put all the energy in some people that is going always to be the leaders and all other people are always going to be the followers. And the problem with that is that we don't assume responsibility for our lives and for our groups. And at the same time, we put all the responsibility in one person. And if this person makes a mistake, oh my God, everything is ruined. So we do this all the time, projecting in others. So deep democracy helps us to make this more fluid. So everybody here is learning and teaching together, being followers and leaders. And we have to use this to make this a more fluid role and relationship within each other and within ourselves, okay? So a way of doing that is, of course, to just said this, empathy. When we bring empathy to relationships, when we look to Fred and think, oh, if I really go into my mind, maybe I didn't want to play soccer that much. I'm doing that because the whole group wants. And I want to be accepted. I want to be a leader, a part of this group. So I don't want to disagree. So when we can accept, for example, this part of Fred in us, this brings us awareness, more awareness about this relationship. And we can move forward to making other decisions, more creative decisions, okay? I don't want to be too long in that. I want to do the method with you now. Just for you to know the way we do to bring this awareness, to make this role fluidity, we use 4 steps, and it's 5 steps in deep democracy, but we have 4 steps that we can use in the top of the iceberg, in the conscious part of ourselves, that is, we call the meeting etiquette. When we gain all the views, this that we did in the check-in was trying to gain all of your views about the theme of peace for your generation, okay? The step 2 is inviting the no, making safe to say no. For example, if you have we want the Freds to come. So we will invite the divergent to say something. And then the step 3, we spread this difference for the whole group. And then we can vote. Sometimes if the theme is appropriate for vote. And then if we feel that it's not enough, the conversation we still have issues, we go to below the waterline to work in the unconscious part of ourselves with the step 5, which is a debate, that maybe we can come to a debate today talking about conflict resolution. For example, a theme, a polarization that I just saw that happened here. I don't know if this is going to continue, but something that we could do a debate today, it's about the part of us that feel optimistic with the future and that feel prepared. As youngs of our generation is prepared, we are optimistic, we have how to do it, we just need to know the tools, but we can do it. We will have this role in our society of responsibility, of making changes. And another part of us in the other side saying, oh no, I'm pessimistic. I'm pessimistic about the countries. I'm pessimistic about climate change. This is going to bring poverty. This is going to bring conflict. So I'm pessimistic about the future. So we have 2 polarities here that we can bring to a debate. I don't know if this is going to be, but just to give you an example of what we just saw in the gaining all the views in the check-in, I already saw this in all of us, these 2 parts in all of us. Pessimistic versus optimistic. And we could do a conversation about peace using this debate, but I don't want to precipitate myself. Let's continue gaining all the views so you can use and experience the method, okay? So that's it for the moment. I just ended my presentation. I hope it wasn't too long. Let me interrupt the sharing. So I want to know first if you have questions about it, but I suggest that we continue using the step 1, gaining all the views and talking more about peace and about your generation and how do you feel. And then I'm going to take notes here while say, and then I will bring some polarity or some theme for you if I feel that it's appropriate, okay? So we can experience the method. So it's open for your contribution if you have questions, and we can go forward.
I have a question. Okay, so my question is about the Fred example, right? So in that theory, I think what I understood is that you're suggesting that leadership should be fluid. At one point, Fred had the control to say, no, I don't want to go to lunch. I don't want to play this game. And therefore, he was their leader. But then you said if Fred is sick elsewhere, you know, then there will be a new Fred. But it's like I wanted to understand, is this new Fred the human nature to continue to be different and deviate, and no matter what happens in whatever circumstance, there will always be a negative factor to deviate from the ultimate goal? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, and it's not a negative factor, but it's exactly what you're saying, Julieta. We are part of a field. Imagine that we are energy fields. We are not just, you are not just Julieta, I'm not just Regina. Somehow we are all connected as a fractal. So if Fred leaves, another person is going to take that energy, that descendant energy, that opposite energy, that don't want to agree with everybody. It is going to bring this difference. And we usually don't like that because it makes us feel that we don't belong. And people judge us when we say what needs to be said. Usually people judge us for doing that. So we are afraid, we want to belong to that group, and then we don't do this. But the idea is that we will always have a part within ourselves that is not agreeing. And what deep democracy does do is to ask for this part to come up to the conscious. So what do you need? What do you need from this part of yourself? And then you bring this part and then you ask, what do you need to come along? What do you need to be here? And then when you receive the answer, this is going to have a wisdom for you and for all of us, okay? So I don't know if it's clear, maybe it's not, of course. This is a very complex tool, but at the same time, is important that we don't rationalize so much and try to experience the method, and things are coming while we are experiencing. So if you don't mind, I would like to listen to you more about this theme. Who wants to share more about the theme of peace for your generation? How do you feel about it? How do you see the future, this future? What's in your mind? And then we use the popcorn method in deep democracy, which is pop when you're ready. When you feel that you want to say something, you just pop, and then we will listen to you. Who wants to continue?
Sorry,
Stanislav,
may
yes.
I talk? Okay, I didn't understand. You think you explained that everyone is a bit the same, and when someone is thinking out of the line, out of the normal, you think that everyone is agree a bit with him, but they aren't really. They don't want to show the thing difference. Is it that, or am I wrong?
An unconscious part of ourselves, unconscious. Maybe you don't agree with Fred, but if you ask yourself, do I really want to play soccer? It will be a small part of you that doesn't want to play basketball as Fred. Maybe you just wanted to go to lunch, or maybe you want to study. It's just a no, the no. It's just that we have this no inside ourselves that all the time we just don't bring this no to the group and even to ourselves, because it's too complicated to be the divergence, okay? So can we continue the conversation? Diane raised her hand and Albert as well. Can we continue? Because we want to know your opinion about the future of peace for your generation. Okay, Diane, Albert.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies first. If you want, you can start, Albert, and I can go afterwards. Okay, if you say so, then yes. I think I have a very nice controversial topic,
because from my point of view, we heard it a lot. Maybe something the youth can do or has to do in these times when we disagree with the older generation, especially, and also concerning peace, is to demonstrate, go out on the streets and demonstrate, so that the old people change their behavior and they change like the social framework we are in, or political, so that it's more appealing to the youth. My position would be that I would like to ask you guys, in your opinion, that I don't think we should go demonstrate, but that we should become part of the institutions, so concrete, become part of a party, and not to work against the system, but to think in long-term effects, and not to act opposing to a system so that it changes, but to become the system, to change it from within and create like longer lasting change and sustainable change. Because in the end, I think we all did the workshop, we have to have well-functioning governments. And if we are part, as the youth, now part of the governments, maybe further youth generations will not have to demonstrate anymore. I'd like to hear your views on that.
Sure.
Yeah, feel free.
Thank you, Albert. So for Albert, it's like, we need to be part of the system. If we don't need the part of the system, if we are not in the system, things are not going to change as like, so we need to be part. I want to know other opinions about this, not only about what Albert brought, but your opinion about the future of peace for the generation. Who else? Diane, Laura, and Matt also. Diane.
I'm gonna try to make something. I mean, I have so many ideas in my head, so I'm gonna try to address everything with cohesion. But I was just first wanting to make sure I understood well what you explained us about the deep democracy. So what I understood is that maybe the idea of a norm can be positive because it brings cohesion in the society, but at the same time it prohibits deviation. And if I understood well, what you said is that without this deviation, there isn't change, and we have to listen to the things that are different to bring change, and that the norm, even if it brings maybe negative peace, it wouldn't bring discussion and dialogue, and so if I can relate this to the workshop we had to do for today, and the distinction between negative and positive peace, I think what you said is that if we all have a norm and there is no deviation, maybe there would be absence of violence, but maybe there wouldn't be room for disagreement and thus for improvement and change. So then I had a question a bit on, so how do we construct the right environments so that there is room for disagreement, and how can we be sure that we are in a society that has this positive environment? And yeah, and then just wanted to talk about what Albert just said, which I found very interesting, and the idea of working with the system or against the system. And so it's a bit related to this idea of how, which environment do we need, like how to construct a positive environment to bring change. So can we work with the system if we think that the system is not suitable and is not bringing us a positive environment for change? I don't know if it's very clear, all those ideas, but I tried to.
What do you think?
Summarize.
What do you think, Diane? What do you think, if I ask you? What do you think could be this positive environment for change?
I think it would be first a place where the people have room to talk. And even though we have, like, for instance, this idea of social media where supposedly everybody has a place to talk, I'm not sure I agree with that, because I think social media is also like little bubbles and everybody is just staying within its bubble, and I don't think it's really a room for a place where people can talk. So sometimes, even if everybody has the ability, like the technology to talk or to have a space, it doesn't mean that this person would be listened, and it doesn't mean that it would be constructive. So I think one of the first, for me, the roots for a positive environment is education, so that everybody learns how to express its ideas, his or her ideas, and also learn to listen to the others.
Perfect, thank you. Who else wants to share their views? Laura, Matt?
Matt, you want to go first? I thought you had your hand raised up before me.
Okay, I can go first. So actually what I wanted to speak about as well was about this positive environment, because I think actually the biggest problem about this positive environment is actually that it is quite hard to arrange this, because like if you see in the world right now, there are a lot of journalists who are maybe traveling to a country or try to tell others their opinion about a specific thing. And of course, there are always people who will disagree about it. And then maybe it will end up in violence or something like this. And that is what I think is the biggest problem with this positive environment. And I'm actually not sure how you want to solve this in a way. I totally agree that it is super important that we maybe get this environment so everyone can just share their opinion in a way. But I'm not really sure, or I'm a little bit pessimistic about how you could arrange this, because by arranging this, you just like need to kind of get the chance to confirm that nobody will get violence about you in a way.
Okay, so just something like at the same time, you see value about opening this space for receiving all the views, all the ideas. At the same time, you will think it's a risk. If we open this, if we open this space, this safe space, might get violence. So you bring this polarity as well. Okay, thank you, Matt. Laura?
Thank you. I just wanted to add to what Albert said, and also maybe respond or contradict a little bit what Mats just said, because I also observe that our generation is in one part very political. We go to a lot of demonstrations and have an opinion on many different topics, but we do not get involved into actual politics. And I do think we should do that more, because the structure is already there, the institutions are already there. We're in such a lucky position that the positive environment, or that like the institutional structure, is already in place. We do not have to put energy into building up a United Nations, a NATO, a African Union. We have this already in place. And I think, I don't want to say that it's perfect, and definitely there are a lot of reforms needed, but to get those reforms that we wish for, we need to get involved in it. I strongly believe.
Okay, and so, okay, Laura, you can.
No, that's what, okay. Whether on national level or international level, we need to be part of it to make a change.
Perfect. I'm just accelerating things here. It's not that I'm interrupting you just because of I'm interrupting. It's because we are going to end in 40 minutes, and I want you to have more tools of deep democracy. So I think that is strong here, bringing for the last 4 voices that I heard is about we have to be in the system, or we can do things out of the system, like a polarity using this. No, it's important to be in the system. No, we don't need to be in the system to make the difference. So this is a polarity that we could use in the debate. We had the first one, the first polarity about optimistic and pessimistic, but I think this is more alive. So I'm going to give the word to Douglas and to Albert and to Stanislaw that are inscribed to talk. But I want just to share with you that I'm seeing this new theme of polarity, this new polarity coming, and maybe we can do a debate about it. Should I be in the we be in the system that is already built for us, or should we work and do our struggle and do our activism, and whenever we want to change the world outside the system? Okay, so Douglas, Albert, Stanislaw, and Matt.
I guess Geronimo raised his hand before me.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Well, I had 2 points to make. First is that about the division there is, I think that that's a big problem, because with social media, it's getting more encouraged to defend staunchly your position rather than take someone else's position and consider it and integrate it into your own. So while I do not think that we should try to convince other people and unite society or the system, rather we should try to embrace our differences. And I think that's very important, because we are all individuals and we all have our own opinions. And I believe each opinion is valuable and should be considered. And with each opinion, a new problem can be solved. And well, with democracy, we should be able to express our opinions and get them to the highest level. But the problem is the youth isn't really able to participate easily, because most countries, to get into government, you need to have a degree and then climb yourself up through several entities, and it will take several years. So I think that's a big barrier the youth has in participating in the system. And I don't know if protesting and being very, very vocal about things is the right step, but maybe change how our democracies work around the world.
Perfect, Geronimo. So, okay. So, who else wants to share? I think it's quite similar to this experience of being in the system and being outside the system. If you don't mind, you all, we can go to a debate, but I want to listen to Douglas Alberto and before we make this decision. Okay.
Can I interrupt you, please, just for 2 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, I've got some question for Laura. You were talking about a reform, but where would you like to do this reform? Yes.
Stanislaw, let me say something to you. It's important that we don't get here into the details of that, because if we do a debate about in the system or outside the system, this will appear. The
answer.
Yes, this answer, this specific answer. Okay, so I think we have this team. I think we have this team. This team is strong. If you all want, I can follow you through a debate using this team, because even what Douglas brought was something like this. For example, we have the barriers for young participating, but democracy should be for everybody. And at the same time, he doesn't know if protest and being vocal is effective enough. Is that it, Douglas? And somehow when you said that, we were just saying like being into the system or being out the system, like in this institution.
Yeah, my question wasn't inside your conversation. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So Albert and Matt, and then I'm going to ask you all if you want to go to a debate about this polarization. Okay, Albert, Matt, please. Whenever each of you wants to say, because you raised your hand.
Then I go first. I'd like to expand the discussed topic, because the question whether you work with the system and become the system, or you work against the system to promote peace, maybe there's a step beforehand, and that I'd like to pick up a point from your presentation, and that's the point before changing the global system, like the big stuff. First of all, you have to be with yourself, basically confident that you yourself respect, or that you yourself represent what you're fighting for, basically. So you have to have inner peace. I think that was also a point that was said. And I think to me, that's most of the probably the most important point, and also a very valuable link today to Rotary, basically, because for someone to make a difference and for someone to promote peace on a global scale, they have to experience what peace means on a personal scale. And we heard it like social media and all that. Today we get more connected, but also social bubbles form way quicker. And it's almost inevitable that you form your own social bubble at some point. And for that, I think it's very, very important that you basically destroy this bubble as soon as possible. And that for me was the youth exchange. Like
Yeah.
my bubble living in Berlin was destroyed in my youth exchange, and that enabled me to communicate with many more people that I ever thought it would be, and maybe also enabled me to become what I am now, like to participate in the system and to be a part of the democracy, basically.
Okay, so we are in the team. I want to check with you all if we are going to go for this debate. The debate is this tool, that is the step 5. I'm going to teach you how to do the debate with me. We have this polarization, okay, which is about, it's important to be in the system, in the institutional, whatever they are, international or national, it's important that we are there to bring our agendas, to bring our interests. And the other part of us, of this debate, is we can be either against the system, but I don't think it's against. It's just that we don't need to be in the system to make the difference. So it's something we need to be in the system to make the difference. We don't need to be in the system to make the difference. This is a debate. This is a team. I want to vote with you. If we all want to go to this team to make this debate, I need you to raise your hand if you want to go. And if you don't want to go, you just don't raise your hand. Can you please raise your hand, because if we all agree, we are going to do a debate in this team. Please raise your hand. I need to see everybody. Even Lynn, Monica, Rodrigo, all the Rotaries, Andrea. Okay. I don't know if Greg, let me see the other youngs. Okay. Does anyone doesn't want to go to this team? Please, if you don't want to go, just raise your hand. If you don't want to go. Okay. Just be the Fred. Just be the Fred. Can anyone just don't go so I can use the step 4 with you, please? Just as an example, Claudia, can you just don't go? So okay, so Claudia, I'm sorry that you lost your vote. We are going to do this debate, okay? So we think your voice is really important and we want to listen to your no. So what do you need to come along with us in this decision? What do you need to come with us in this decision?
Well, I think I need to be, I don't know, because I want to talk about it. You know, it's very difficult to come up with an excuse. So let's just pretend. So because I wanted to talk about something else. I really would like to talk about the importance of the establishment for the development of young leaders. Yeah.
Okay. So Claudia wants to talk about the establishment of the young. So can this team be brought to the debate? Maybe this team can be inside the debate if you think about the polarization. Yeah, okay. So now she's agreeing with us. So when you have a situation where everybody wants to go to this place and the other doesn't, you just say, what do you need to come along with us? What do you need to be with us? Because we think your voice is important. And this person, of course, this was a simulation. Claudia wanted to go. So, but the person is going to bring some information, some new information for us that is going to add wisdom to our debate, okay? So now we are going to do a debate. We have 30 minutes to do that. It's not a long time, but we can do it. I just want to say to you what's the comments to do this debate. First, we have 2 themes, polarized themes. Yes, we need to go to the institutions. We need to be in the international and national organizations because they are already built in the system, and we need to occupy this space to make the difference. Another part of us is saying, no, we don't need to be in these institutions to make the difference. We can make the difference in whenever space and place we want, okay? So this is the polarity. So what is going to happen now? First, we are going to say everything that needs to be said from one side of the polarization. For example, from yes, we need to be in an institution. And then when we said everything from this side, all of us can say, we go to the other side, say everything that has to be said for no, we don't need to be in an institution, okay? So when we do that, when we are doing this, we are fluid, we are making this role, fluidity of roles, as I said to you, something will come up, something will hit home for you. Maybe it's just an insight, but you learn something about yourself while you are doing this exercise of moving to one side, defending this side, really defending this side, and then you go to the other side and really defend the other side, okay? So you will have an insight, and I hope to collect with you, some of you, these insights, because they are going to be for all of us. Before we start this debate, I just want to give you three rules of the debate. No one of these sides has the monopoly of the truth. We don't have the monopoly of the truth, okay? We need to believe that to come to this debate. The second one is that this debate is going to make us learn something. We are going to grow with this experience, okay? And the third one is that we want to remain in this relationship. As we said, it's difficult to talk about something that has conflict. So we need to make a rule that we want to remain in this relationship. We are not here to break relationships, okay? So these are the three rules, and I want to see you if you all agree with that. The first one, no side of myself, or I don't have the monopoly of the truth, or the side doesn't have the monopoly of the truth. Do you agree with that? Please raise your hand. Let me see the other part of the group. Okay, everybody agree. And this experience will make us grow and learn something about ourselves and about the others. Do you agree with that? Please raise your hand. Okay, and the last one, we want to remain in this relationship. We are here to be in this relationship. If you agree with that, please raise your hand. Okay. Luisa said she's without the camera, but she agrees. Okay. So now we go. I think it's really strong that we go. If we were in another situation, I would say that we can have 2 minutes to stand up, maybe go to toilet and take a breath. But I don't know if this is the case because we have like 25 minutes to do the activity. So I'm just putting my voice of the no here for you to know. If anyone wants to do that, we need it to be really, really brief, like 2 minutes to go to the toilet, to grab a glass of water, or we just start. I think we just start, right? Okay, so let's start. Okay, let's start. So the idea is we have to really defend this side, the side that we are going to start. Even if you want, you can put your chair like this side of myself, Regina here, it's for the institution. I think for the change, we need to be in the institution. So you can choose a side. And then we just change our side with our bodies. This is really helpful. We use in the democracy, but if you don't want, you don't need to use it right now. It's just for you to remember that you have a side now. So we are going to defend right now the part of ourselves that believes that we have to be in the system, we have to be in the institutions to make the difference. And I want to listen to all your arguments, and I'm going to put here like 10 minutes for us to defend this part. So if we have 10 minutes and we are a lot of people here, try to be as assertive and as brief as you can, okay? But we are going to do, you don't need to raise your hand because we need to do this faster, just like popcorn style. If you want to say it, you just say it, try to be brief and give space for others to defend this side as well. So we are beginning for the part of, yes, we need to be in the system. I want to be at ONU, I want to be at PNUD, I want to become a president of the Brazil, because it is important so we can do the agenda if we go to these places. So who wants to start for this part?
Can I go?
Okay. You have to go. Don't ask me, just do it. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that we should take a the positions of the people who already have the power. So nowadays we have politicians in the power, and it don't mean they are good politicians. So the new generation should take their places, because they normally have the power for themselves. They are in the power because they want things for themselves, and we should take their places, their political places, for maybe really having making the difference in the world or in our countries.
Thank you. Just remember, let's use the I. I think I should go into the system. I want to do this. It's not this. Just bring for you, okay? Thank you, Douglas.
Okay, sure.
Who else wants to come? Who else wants to
I would like to say that, and in the same line as Douglas, if we don't like the institutions if I don't like this institution, for example, my local government, I need to be there. I need to make the shift in that institution, because if the institutions are not well functioning, if we don't have a well functioning government or a well functioning multilateral institution, we need to go and change it, and we can prepare for that, and we can do that. If we don't convince ourselves, if I don't convince myself I can do the change, nobody's going to do it for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to amplify your voice, Alessandro. My government sucks. They're doing everything wrong.
Thanks,
and I can
Regina.
make a difference. That's it. Who else wants to say?
That's a good point, Regina. So go fight them with your own weapons. Take the power away from you and become the next leader.
Exactly. Say what needs to be said.
I would like to say something. I believe that if we're having problems with our government, we should take an act on it, because a lot of people that are in the government today are today's leaders. They have a lot of traditional ideas that maybe don't bring peace to a society, at least in my point of view. So I think that if these people are still having power, they're still above us in some kind of way, it will be so much more harder, a lot more difficult for us to bring peace to everyone in the world. Because if these people, every time we try to do something in name of peace and to stop some kind of conflict, maybe if their own personal interests are above that, they can just stop us because they have more power than us. And I think youth taking their position will help this peace projects and movements to go forward in an easier way.
These people that are in power now, they have a node mentality. They are thinking more privately than for society. Okay? Who else wants to share?
I would love to say something. So another thing I see what might be important and why we should actually do it with the system and not against the system is that actually I think it would be quite ineffective if we would do it against the system, because if you imagine how it would be like, actually we would just like try to build up another power, which actually for which power it would be quite hard to get as much impact on the society than the government or a president have right now. And I think this is why it is much smarter to just go by the system and maybe, like we already said, become the next leader and not try to develop a second institution who could get powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to catch up on that point. Like you said, become the next leader. Maybe you don't even have to become the next leader, but to work with the government, basically the best, and that's why the easiest way to make yourself heard, basically, and so probably the best way to make yourself heard. Also, as youth, go vote, go with the system and influence the system, and take your rights and vote, basically. So that's how you can influence it, even without taking a lot of your own time basically into becoming the system. Maybe that's an easier way also. Mm-hmm. And very effective.
Okay, Who else wants to share the opinion about this side? Because I think it's time for us to go to the other side. But if anyone else wants to share something more about this side, now it's time. Or we can go. I'm moving my chair to the other side because now I'm going to defend not being in the system. All of us is going.
I just wanted to add something, like agreeing with Albert. I think it's easier to you to break a system inside of the institution than outside, because outside you have to shout louder than when you're inside. There you already have recourses, so you can, break the system.
Okay.
I also agree with Albert.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Juan, what?
Okay, I also agree with Albert and Julia. I think that once you're in the system, you have like the privilege of being heard. Like you don't have to shout, or you don't have to take a lot of risks or work to be heard and to influence people around you.
Perfect. Okay. Do we have any other opinion on this side? But because I want to go to the other side because we don't have that much time. Alejandro, do you want to say something different from what was said?
Yeah, Stanislas wants to talk first.
Sorry, thanks, Alexandro. I think. I would like to talk about I think it's not the best way. The best way to change the things. It's not inside the system, because when you're going inside, you're gaining you have a status.
No. Just a second. So Stanislaw, now we are changing. Stanislaw, you are going to bring the other part of the polarization.
Yes, it's what I'm saying.
Yes,
it's what I'm saying. This. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually
but just for everybody to be aware, we just changed it. Now we are going to defend the other part. Okay. So
that's why I'm defending the other part. I'm doing this. Yeah. I'm saying that being in the system isn't the right thing, because when you're inside of it, you have some shackles, because you're in a social environment that pressure you, and I don't think many people have the strength to, when they are at some stages, I don't think they have the strength to say, okay, I will destroy all of this. I will say that we were wrong, and that we have to change. And that's why I think it's easier to create something new, even if you have to shout louder. But this way you won't have to be. You won't have some social pressure. You understand what I want?
Yeah. So I'm going to amplify. I'm going to amplify a little bit Stanislas. Okay, he's just saying for the other part, for the part that believes in the system that you can change inside the system. He's saying you are going to be another chain of this wheel. You think you are going to do different, but the system is going to massacre your dream. He's going to make you be another one like them. This is not freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it's
I
exactly
just amplified you.
Saying,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. This is an amplification. Is a way of us to being faster in what we want to say. Okay. Who wants to say something more, like Diana, Laura, Geronimo?
I want to talk with I agree with him, because I think even if you are a leader, sometimes you cannot change something. I mean, ONU, sometimes they enter in some war, but they cannot change the fact, even they want to change, because the country doesn't accept that. And we cannot do something, even I want to change, I cannot change it about the system. So I agree, if you are a leader, sometimes you cannot do that, even you want the most. So yeah, it's a problem, but we need to solve that. But I agree with him, sometimes even you are a leader, you cannot change something.
Who else wants to share?
I can go. I wanted to take the example of a failing system. So for instance, in a country that is that has a lot of corruption, I think in these cases, the best way to change may not be to be part of the system, because first it would legitimate it, and when it's a system that it's corrupted for, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years, I don't think it would make much of a change. And so it would legitimate a system that is failing, and it would be ineffective as well. whereas maybe demonstrations or yeah, I mean, I could take the example of the demonstration could be a real pressure on the system that is much more effective than just being inside the system and trying to enrich oneself without making any change for society. On the contrary, demonstration could put real pressure, and also on the international level, when you have, like, for instance, demonstration in a country, maybe you won't have much of an impact directly on the government, but the fact that the whole world would be watching it may have an impact on the government, because they have like an international reputation. So in these cases, I think if the system is failing, working within it would not be the best idea.
Yeah, we cannot change a system that is already broken. What are you going to do there? They are corrupted. They are broken. Who else wants to say from this part?
I would like to. The thing is, we cannot set a line between, like, you should or should not be part of the system, because many times it's easier to participate in democracy in certain countries. I would agree that it's, the best option by far is being a responsible citizen and a voter in Germany, but not in Venezuela, because it depends on the circumstances you are in. And sometimes there is no possible way to be in the system, and then it takes either adaptation to the predicament you're in, like in Venezuela or in South Sudan, North Korea, because many times not adapting and trying to fight may create much more conflict. And it's important to be flexible in that sense. So being part of the system is not always an option, and changing the system is not always an option either. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who else?
I think that's a very good point, that it's sometimes just not an option. I think to act outside of the existing framework of the legislature is even a vital point, because it's just so much quicker. Like, as we talked about the bubbles, a government in its way also created its own bubbles, and to act outside of the system, maybe especially as youth, where at some times just by age cannot be part. I cannot be president, for example, because I'm too young. It's very important that you make yourself heard, and like give an external sort of wake-up call to the politics and to the political and legal framework, so that they can react to changes that they might have not even heard about it. Even with digital media nowadays, things change so fast that especially the youth has sometimes the feeling that the elders in the positions where they could enable the change do not know what is actually happening, basically, or what's behind all that. And that's a point, I think, where youth can give really good examples or ideas into the legal framework from outside. And that's a vital point, because it's just quicker, it's more closer to this actual subject, and it's from the people that really empathize for it and really do what they feel, basically.
I think that it's significantly more accessible to try and change a system from the outside. To be in politics already is a privilege that not very many people have. That's why we only have one president. That's why we only have such and such senators, because there are so few people that actually have the finances to go to school and get the education, the credentials to even step into those buildings and have the floor to speak on the subject, or the networking and nepotism that puts them in those political positions in the first place. Whereas you don't need education to go out and walk and speak your mind and say your voice. You don't need, money to go and do any of those things. You can be so much more accessible outside of the system than actually being in the system. And it's more towards the people who are living these realities day by day. There are certain things that the people so high up cannot even perceive, because they are no longer in that economic bracket or societal frame that the people who are marching are in.
Yeah, I'm going to amplify you a little bit, saying like the system is a place where privileged people is a place of elitism. It's not where everybody, right?
But I might add that the flaw there is that most of the times, I would say, protesting peacefully and walking outside isn't enough to change the system. And then we enter into the debate of how bad does the government or the system have to be for you to legitimize violence? How corrupt has the government to be so that you're allowed to assault a police officer or to sabotage a public system? So most of the times you need to also leave good morals and abandon peace to change your system. And that's like a hard choice to make, because you either accept the bad system you're in or risk it into getting a worse one through a violent way. So I mean, it's not that easy of a decision to change the system.
You're saying sometimes we do have to disobey. It's not all the time that we can play by the rules, because the rules are corrupted, the rules are, so we have our tolerance to be peaceful, like it has a limit for that, right?
Well, I'm saying it's a choice. You give up the status quo, which might be better than the result of trying to change the system, which might end up in violence. A lot of the times from history, we know that most of the times it ends up in violence and civil war and stuff. So it's a big risk to take.
Thank you. Who else? So we really have to end. Like we will listen to Alejandro, Julieta, and Douglas, and then we need to end the part of the debate. Okay.
You want to talk, Douglas, or right? Okay. So, well, I think what Jerónimo says is more like a philosophical debate, that where the violence is accepted or not, where we can draw on this line of this. If the system doesn't count your vote, for example, in Colombia, how would you even imagine that it will hear your voice? It's like those debates that we cannot assess here, like in this philosophical perspective, but I think that we can not work fully outside the system, but maybe, I don't know, outside the partisan system, and start a social movement with the citizens that share your ideas, and then you can go through the system and really change it with the popular power. I will not refer to the authoritarian like examples, because there is no system there. There's not a system. There's like a monarchy, you know. But in the framework of a democracy, even though the paper, we can do the changes even outside those like imaginary systems that the different countries or even the international system has.
Douglas?
Okay. No, I would just like to say that maybe we should use the both sides, because like maybe if we want an impeachment, for example, we need the people going to the streets and asking for this, but we also need to follow the rules, and we need the politicians that are already in the government makes all the process to have this impeachment. So I guess that we need the both parts, like we need the people in the streets asking for the politicians to do their parts and do the impeachment, for an example. So I guess it's important for us to have people fighting for a better place inside the system and outside the system as well.
Okay, maybe this is already an insight, Douglas, that you are having. So I'm going to close this part of the debate to ask you now. I want to just to be quiet for a moment, because we just talked a lot. Go inside yourself a little while for like 1 or 2 minutes. Think about what just happened when you defended one side, and then when you defended the other, or you listened to one defended one side and then defended the other, and see if something came up for you, some insight about yourself, about this situation, about what did you learn about yourself with this debate? Something hit you home, something maybe a small insight. Just reflect for a while, and then we are going to share some insights with the whole group. But I just want you to think a little bit about this experience of defending both sides, and how did you feel, and if you learned something, if something came up for you about yourself, about this process, or about the team, something different. Does anyone want to share an insight that had during the process of the debate?
Yeah, I really liked everything, because I think when we heard both sides, we can do something together with the best with both sides. So I believe a lot on diplomacy, and diplomacy are listen to each other and do something together. So was really grateful for me to hear both sides, and thank you guys.
It's something about what Luisa, I'm trying to make this more accurate, okay? What you just said. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like, I realize it's really important to listen to all sides. That's why diplomacy is important. So we are open to listen to a point of view that is different, completely different from the other one.
Yes, I think with that we can do something together. I mean, everyone has something important to say, and I think we can take that and construct something better, you know.
Who else wants to share?
Yeah, I would like to say that here we all want to have a change in our world, in our country. I'm sure that we are not the only ones, and as long as we all try to make a change, it won't matter if we are in the system or out the system. But if we all keep trying, keep on fighting for a better place, we'll sooner or later we'll achieve it.
Who else?
For me, the key aspect I took away from today is that basically we're all different, and that's okay, and we're all different for a reason, and that's great, because this cultural richness, as I like to call it, it bears incredible opportunities for us all if we acknowledge them and embrace them. And I want to pick up on something that was not part of our discussion, but beforehand, and it's how you use that richness of opinions, basically, on cultures, is to get everyone not on the same page as you are, but to carry everyone with the discussion. So if someone disagrees, do not exclude him from the discussion he does not want to be part of, but search for similarities or points where he can join the discussion, keep them inside of the communication. I think that's the vital point, or that was the vital point for me today, which I'm going to embrace for the future.
Who else wants to share?
For me, this debate reminded me once more that it's extremely important to take into account different perspectives. And I think this is something we all learned probably during our exchange, to put ourselves in the shoes of others, but it's so easy to forget. And yet it's so valuable to learn another perspective and understand why the other person may have another opinion. And that also reminded me that I do not always have this one point of view, but we so easily get stuck in one opinion. And therefore I appreciate it so much to hear from others and their perspective, and then make me better understand the whole conflict. So thanks for that.
Anyone else wants to share?
So I see this debate as two paths to achieve the same thing, to get to the same end. So we all want to achieve peace. We all want to make our world better. And there are the ones that think that being outside of the institutions are better. There are the ones that think that inside are better. And it's just two sides of the same coin, that it's achieve peace. So the ones that prefer one way can get this way, and then we can all meet on the end of the road.
Okay, as our time ended, if you don't mind, I'm going just to really summarize. I know all of us, I'm so happy that many of us had insights. This is really important for the process. I just want to share with you, because these insights that we had, they are not talking just about us, but about everybody in this room, because as I said, we are all connected in this energy field. So while we are learning something for us, we are also giving this, having this shared view and learning something together with this process, okay? So we realize that diplomacy is so important, that everyone has something important to say. And that in or out the system, we have to try, we have to continue fighting. And we are all different for a reason, okay? So this is an incredible, great opportunity to learn about the differences and how to use this in a rich way in our lives, and to bring these opinions, carrying everyone together, not excluding anyone, but keeping everything, communicating with everybody, okay? And taking different perspectives is a way of putting ourselves in the shoes of others. Lots of times it's so easy to get stuck in one opinion, and this experience made us realize, made us reinforce this necessity of putting ourselves in other perspectives. And we are all here for the same reason. We want a world to be a better place. Some of us is going to do this inside the system. Others are going to do outside, but it's part of this, it's two sides of the same coin. So this was our insights that we could have. This belongs to all of us. This is the end of our session. And Greg wants to say something. I think he had to leave. And I want to just to say to you that we have this course, Co-Resolve. If anyone is interested to know more about this tool, I'm here. You can talk to me. You can talk to Rotary. Okay, it was amazing to be with you all. This was a huge debate for me. I love it, our moment together. And I'm going to give the stage now for Rotary, for Claudia. I don't know if Claudia and Monica are going to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Regina. I really would like to thank you very much for taking your time. You know, she did that voluntarily, as we all do here, right? Voluntarily. Thank you very much, my partners, Greg, Lynn, Pascal, Helmut, Sandra, Luis, Monica, everybody that is here from my club, E-Club too. But I don't know, I'm going to leave. I think this is the first time, and Greg mentioned that Rotarians were quiet the whole time. So it was very interesting because the floor was yours. And I think this is what we have to understand and accept. We need to change our mindset too. And we learned so much from you. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for sharing. Okay. And before I close the session, because I'm going to be sending you an evaluation, a survey, just to get more insights from you, because as I said before, it's a pilot project that, you know, the first time we got together to discuss these issues at this level. And if any of my partners, Pascal, Helmut, Greg, Lynn, and Sandra or Luis would like to say something, now it's the time.
Can we take a picture?
Yes, I would like to add something to the whole conversation, to the whole dialogue, that definitely the language, no matter if it is an oral language, if it is a gesture language, no matter what language we have, we need to have a common language or a common system of language in order to understand each other. That is the most important thing. And for me, specifically, is one of the most important keys for peace, for understanding, for comprehension among all people, no matter what type of generations they are part of. And I think this was a wonderful exercise. Nothing perfect, of course. This is the first one, but I guess we all understood each other very much and pretty well, because we all talk the same language, the universal language, in this case, the English language. And no matter by somehow or by some people, it is easier, it is more fluent and so on, for others not. We had the same common language, and this was the most important and decisive thing in order to come out to excellent insights, like I heard this afternoon here in Colombia and in your European countries and in Brazil as well. So I appreciate very much for the opportunity. I really feel at home with you guys. We are all international. We are Rotary, and we are always a family, no matter where we are and we come from. Thank you.
If you can put your camera on so everybody can see each other, and then we can do a picture. Okay. Let me see here. Who wants to take a picture? I don't know. I just got one, but whenever who wants to say, just 1, 2, 3, and let's go. Okay, and now I'm going to the other screen because we have 2 screens now. 1, 2, 3 to the second screen. Let's go. Okay. Who wants to say anyone wants to say something before we end? I don't know. Others from Rotary?
I'd just like to say that this is the creation of peace. Workshops such as this where everybody has a voice, where everybody can be heard, and there's no particular sides, because I loved it when we did one side and then we did the other side, so that you could really fit into that role, not just think about it, but feel it in your entire body, in your soul, to realize that, oh, maybe my way is not the right way or the only way, that maybe there are many ways. And I think that's the beauty of Rotary. It brings us together internationally so that we can hear everyone else's views and decide for ourselves what is right for us, because I think we're all coming from different places. So thank you, Regina. It has been very enlightening. So, and thank you to all the participants. You guys are great.
Thank you all. It was an amazing experience. Thank you. I'm going to put my heart here too. Where is the heart? So I hope to see you soon, or bye-bye. Have a nice end of Saturday or beginning of Saturday. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.